Welcome to the Denver Protests podcast. After our brief week-long hiatus, good to be back with you guys. It is Sunday, July 27th. I am here with my co-hosts Bug and Constant Gardner. I was so close to nailing that intro. What's going on, guys?
Hello, everyone.
Hey,
happy
folks.
Sunday.
Good to be back. Always
Yes.
a good Sunday.
Yes, happy Sunday, hot Sunday. Let's talk, because we have 2 weeks to cover from when we last recorded, so a bunch of stuff did happen. I don't know, do you guys have any place in particular you want to start? I know that there were some actions that were near and dear to our hearts. They're all near and dear to our hearts to varying degrees, but is there any
some
way?
are nearer and dearer than others.
I mean, everyone has a favorite kid, right? Like, it's just what it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I said that as an only child, so it's not my place to say. But where do you guys want to start?
I say leave it up to Bug, the fearless leader of the protest breakdowns, I guess.
I like that. The protest machine plugs on. We've still been having the last 2 weekends. We still had all of our weekly protests. The visuals for Jeanette outside of the GEO facility. The CD7 watermelon peace vigils for Palestine have had good little turnouts. There were a few Palantir protests between when we last recorded and now. Dawa is kind of like spearheading that movement here in Denver, which is really awesome to see. And I've been getting to know some Dawa folks better, and it's really, it's cool shit. So it's good to see that sustained energy on those ongoing campaigns almost. But
that is Denver anti-war action, just for anyone who doesn't know, right?
That is.
Yes, thank you. I forget that not everybody knows the acronyms because not everybody spends as much time gathering protest information as I do.
It's true. I'd venture to say nobody spends as much time gathering protest information as you. But yeah, Dawa.
That's probably fair. And kind of in relation to Dawa's anti-Palantir, pro-Palestine campaign, there were a handful of actions on this past Thursday that were a direct answer to there's a journalist who lives in Palestine. Her name is Bizan Oda, and she has been covering the ongoing genocide and manufactured famine, and put out a call to action for people to just go out and make noise to raise awareness for what is happening. And we had multiple organizations answer that call. CPC organized an action at the Capitol. And then folks from CUSP and CD7 Watermelon organized an action that was outside of Senator Michael Bennett's office, which is along Spear Boulevard. And then there was a very last minute action thrown together outside of Jason Crow. He's a representative to the Federal House of Representatives in Aurora. And I actually heard that the people who attended that had I don't want to say a good time, but they felt so empowered by their action that they might start doing that weekly, which is really awesome.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I think we mentioned Jason Crow in the Palantir episode, actually. I imagine this is part of the reason why they were there, because he took money from Palantir. And also the I think Jewish Voice for Peace was part of putting on the Make Noise for the Famine event at the Capitol. Because I was at that one. Yeah, I was at that one on this last Thursday. Man,
I believe they are a part of the Colorado Palestine Coalition. I believe
they are indeed.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, and also Jason Crow, going back to Jason Crow, not only does he accept Palantir money, but within Colorado, he has the highest concentration of Palestinians, like in his constituency. So, fun
Wow.
fact. Yeah.
Get it together, Jason Crow.
Right. And I think that the fact that we had 3 actions happening simultaneously across the city, like, I think we need more of that kind of energy, because we were able to be in front of so many eyes and we got so much support. Like, the vast majority of people driving by were supportive of what we were doing, or at least
That's awesome.
not supportive. But we got a ton of honks, a ton of like just like solidarity fists and peace signs. There were people on balconies around us that also came out, because there were like apartment buildings across the street, and people came out and also banged on their pots. So,
out of your homes into the street type beat.
It's always nice when you get those like long haul truckers doing like their big honks when they go by. I always shout out those. Those are always good.
yeah, that's working class solidarity.
That's 100%. Shout out truckers. Nice. Okay. Awesome. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Do you have anything? I'm sure had other stuff that was going on too.
The only other thing I can think of off the top of my head was back on the 17th, 5051 and like a coalition here in Denver at least ran their Good Trouble Lives On march and event, which was a John Lewis Memorial event. And then we also had like a smaller like grassroots march later that night just by local folks. I think one of the big plus, like one of the big positive takeaways from 5051's Denver event was the activist fair that they did. There were 26 organizations there, ranging from healthcare organizations to communist organizations. JVP was there, Jewish Voice for Peace. There was a lot of good places that people could get connected if they wanted to. So I think that's a great platform. The march was pretty good too. It was probably about 1,000 people. I don't know if either of you were there.
No, I was not.
But yeah, there were about 1,000 people. It was an energy. It was a very liberal energy. When we tried to lead some chants that were a little more out of pocket, they were not about that. And I don't even mean anything crazy.
Like, what kind of chants did they not like?
Like, I got some hard side eye for changing tax the rich to eat the rich.
Oh, come on.
Yep.
That is pretty tame, all things considered.
Yep, I think so too.
Oh, Lord. God save us
we're
from
not
the libs.
actual cannibals. Like, that doesn't mean what you think it means.
I mean, maybe it does. No
cannibal.
Well,
I really hope there aren't people who are walking around being like, I take that literally. These people want to consume wealthy people. I just want to grind them into slurry to power like industrial presses. I don't want to eat.
Thank you. Right. Come on. Like,
I want our communities to eat their savings. Like, that's what I mean when I say eat the rich. I mean, eat their money, like take it and literally turn it into food and eat it. So,
okay, yeah. Okay, so eat the rich was too much for these libs. Yeah. I mean, my God, it's discouraging as hell, honestly, that people are just not ready for what is to be done, as our boy V.I. Lenin would put it. I don't know. I just like to remind everyone that major political and social change has never happened and will never happen because you asked for it nicely. It's just not how that works. So if you can't handle saying eat the rich, we're in trouble. But that's, this is not new information for those of us who have been out here for a while. But, I mean, that's 1,000 people is a low ass turnout for 5051. Let's be real. I mean, when they were first doing their shit, back in February, it was like 10,000. I mean, there were like 1,000 is not, I mean, it's a respectable turnout. It's a good turnout, and they still seem to have this ability to turn out bigger numbers than anybody else. So we don't want to
well, it's also
otherwise.
a weekday too, right? This is the one on Thursday that we're talking about. Is that right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But to be fair, when they first were doing, like, they did their first one back in February or whatever, that was like on a Tuesday at noon or whatever, and they had like 10,000 people show up.
Yeah.
So it does seem like people are losing steam and momentum for like a variety of reasons, and I don't know what all of those are. But I don't know.
Back
I think
up, everything's fine. What are you talking about? Well, I was going to say, I think this goes back to, again, we're all aware of this, but I don't think a lot of the folks who would attend marches like that, I'm sure there were plenty of, I'm sure some of them are great people, as they say, but I don't think they want radical political change because they are more or less materially comfortable with the way things are. And again, this is not insight, and this is not new. And I also do think that eventually we do have to talk to those people. I think it's great. I think it's honestly great that people make the effort to come out. So I don't want to give the impression that I'm like throwing shade on anyone who did come out and doesn't share my exact corpus of political beliefs. But I do think, to go to what you were saying earlier, Bug, like, I imagine that people would get these ideas because some of those people themselves probably are rich, if I had to guess. But I don't know. Again, not an insight.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that is a really good point to remember that I always forget, because I do want radical political and social change, that a lot of the people in this country don't want that. They would like for things to go back to the way they were before Trump. And like, I would prefer that in terms of the current status quo, which is just like the ICE, which is clearly Trump's SS, rounding people up and locking them in torture prisons. Like, definitely I would prefer to go back to the times before that. But, a lot of that stuff did happen under Biden. It was just less visible and less aggressive. And there was more due process. But I think it's, so that would be preferable to go back to the time of without all of the major cuts and just everything that's happening. I get that. But also, shit was pretty bad for a lot of people before Trump came in. And I don't want to go back to those times. I want to build something different and better. But it is important to remember that a lot of people in this country do not feel the way that I do, and they're probably not going to feel that way until things get bad enough for them, which I'm sorry to say, things almost certainly will. So, but it is a good reminder that, like, those of us who want radical political social change I don't know that we're in the majority.
I would go so far as to say I'm pretty confident we are in the minority. Pretty extreme political minority. Which is unfortunate, but I think that's important to remember, as you were saying, that when we're considering the efficacy of whatever it is you're doing as like in these types of spaces, that a lot of people probably, unfortunately, don't think the way that you think. And I fall into this a lot, just kind of like, I think this is a common experience of like the people that I tend to interact with. I kind of, self-select them because they share the values that I share, and those values will often manifest themselves as having some kind of substantial overlap of political beliefs. But like you were saying, I think it's important to remind ourselves that like that is relatively fringe belief, in that the political movement that we are a part of, such as we are a part of one, is deeply under siege. It is deeply fractured and broken, and I mean, to say it's in a bad spot would be extreme understatement. So I don't say that as like, doomerism or the fuck. Maybe I am. I don't know. Fuck it. But like, I also do think that there's utility in remembering that, like, I'm talking more to myself here. Like, just because me and like the people I associate with all agree that like even something as simple as like Medicare for all, which I know does poll pretty well, but it's certainly not universal in terms of its support.
Right.
And it's certainly something that
Totally.
we need to keep in mind. That no, I think it's a fringe movement. That doesn't mean it's bad. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. But it's good to remind ourselves that there is a lot of quote unquote normies out there. So.
Yep, there are a lot of normies out there.
Mm.
And it's hard. That's the curse of being a leftist, is being right too early. Because I do 100% believe that people will get there. I just don't think material conditions are bad enough in this country yet. But I think if we look at the trajectory that we're headed on, and the goals of the Trump administration, it is inevitable that if they continue down this path, things are going to get really bad for a lot of people. But we're just not quite there yet. So those of us who see the writing on the wall are, doomed to be, sort of dismissed and viewed as extremists until everybody else catches up. And that is how it has always been if you were a leftist. And maybe that's how it'll always be. Anyway, yeah, this is real doomer coded. Sorry, everybody.
Well, no, it's a little bit of like the Cassandra complex. Is like it feels that way, right? And like
Yes.
I know that we didn't get a chance to talk about this last week, but after I hate calling it this so much, the fucking big beautiful bill, the bill that is basically internally imposed austerity, right? That's and as
Yes.
that's pretty much what it is. And I was thinking about this, and people were mad about it online, and people were upset about it in kind of very like loud and performative and like lacking in substance kind of ways. And there were demonstrations about it. But I think back to a place like Greece, which completely different context, whatever the fuck. But when austerity is being imposed on them, they went fucking crazy. And there's so many other examples of places, and again, like it's a different kind of setup because of the whole international financial scheme that Greece was kind of being whipped into shape under. But it often feels that way living in this country as people on this side of the political spectrum, is that we are in a hostile environment, a hostile political, social, and economic environment. So it may as well be imposed on us from an outside force, So all that to say, I don't know. I wish there was more of that like anti-austerity type of thing, because that's really more or less what that fucking bill was and is, So
Absolutely. But I mean, I really do feel like it's one thing to know that it's coming, but it's like we haven't felt the economic impact of it yet. And so people may change their minds as we start losing healthcare, more people becoming homeless, all of that. People may come around, but who knows? I mean, who knows? I think that it's just disappointing though that people at a goddamn 50-51 march can't even handle a chant of like "Eat the Rich." Like that's like really disheartening that even something that seems so I can't believe that that's like a controversial statement, but it's true. It's like I've siloed myself. I don't really hang out with a lot of people who would be offended by that phrase. I don't know. Like even, I have like some kind of like normie lib type people that I'm friends with in my personal life. And I feel like even those people would be like, yeah, fucking eat the rich. But
yeah,
I
I know.
again,
I do want to. I don't
crowd.
like that I use the word. Sure, yeah, 100%. Yeah. Well, anyway, I feel I was gonna say I do have a lot of other like doomer thoughts to get. I don't know why I'm in that space right now, but do we have anything else from the previous couple of weeks that we wanted to highlight before we jump into our interview?
Nope. I think I pretty much covered what I had to cover.
Okay, cool.
All right. So, couple things. Um, we were supposed to have an interview, but we're not serious people and we're not real journalists. So that fell through. But we are hoping to get that interview done and conducted sometime in the near future. Because I think that would be a exciting thing for us to be able to get on the books. But so we're recording this day later. Kanza Gardner is no longer with us. Not that she's dead, just that she is not on this recording. So it's just me and Bug for the latter half of this episode. And I think we've got some, I don't know, I think it's an exciting development. We have a new campaign that has, kind of spun off of the Denver protests community in some ways. So I think it's really exciting to see something take shape from the ground up, from like its very inception. But Bug, I know that you've been pretty involved in the kind of on the ground work with this. Do you want to talk a little bit about this no concentration camps in Colorado campaign?
Yeah, I would love to. Um, so this campaign started as the brainchild of one of our community members. Um, and sorry, sorry, I just burped. Um,
Roll with it, man. Honestly, I didn't even hear it. I don't know if anyone else would have heard it, so
I
we'll see
muted
how it
for the
comes
burp
out.
itself. um, so sorry. Um, I lost my train of thought, dude.
We were talking about no concentration camps in Colorado and how it was the brainchild of one of the community members of the protests, Denver protest community.
Oh yeah. So yeah, they basically they saw the ACLU put in a FOIA request um that led to the like public release of plans for 6 new locations that would be used as immigrant detention centers um, via private corporations like Geo and CoreCivic. And this was infuriating information, I know, for a lot of people to learn about. And there's a pretty large group of us now that have kind of turned that energy into this no concentration camps in Colorado campaign.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. FOIA being Freedom of Information Act, not to be Mr. Spellout acronym guy, but just in case anyone was listening to that and did not know. But yeah, no, it's really cool because it just started, what, like 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago? When did this thing kind of like get off the ground?
It's been about 2 weeks.
Okay.
I think like just about 2 weeks. So, and
what are some of the things that, well, I guess we'll start like, what are some of the campaign's like primary demands?
Yeah, so we have actually 5 pretty concise demands. The first is no further expansion of ICE detention infrastructure in Colorado. The second is to dismantle the existing ICE detention center in Aurora, which is run by Geo. The third is to divest from private prison companies like Geo, CoreCivic, and Baptiste. And that's like for the government, for politicians, for corporations, for whoever works with or holds stock within these companies to divest from them. And then the fourth is to reinvest into underfunded state-run social programs such as housing, public health, education, and public lands. And then the fifth one is that we need to declare a special session of the Colorado State Congress so that we can address the other 4 demands.
Okay. The thing I like about those is that they are very like measurable and concrete and actionable. I know that before we started recording this episode, we were talking about like protest efficacy and this whole idea of like demonstrating without kind of clear goals is, you know, I think there can be differing opinions about the efficacy of that kind of stuff. So I think one of the cool things about this campaign is that there's very well, one of the cool things is like what it's trying to do. B, it's like focus on local shit, which I feel like, you know, is kind of like our whole shtick here, right? Is that local politics, state politics, like these things so often get the hi hat in that like they're totally subsumed to like whatever is happening at the federal level, and like an individual or a group's ability to influence things on the federal level is oftentimes very limited. But you know, there's all politics are local. I don't know, was it Trent Lott who said that? Someone fucking said all politics are local, and that's one of the cool things about this campaign is that it's very focused on stuff that's like either being threatened to happen in Colorado or is currently happening in Colorado. So that's one of the things that stands out to me about this whole thing. What are some of the things that the campaign has done so far?
So right now we're really focusing on education of the people who want to get involved, outreach to, you know, like organizations and politicians so that we can get the message out there. And like just building awareness among people, because like I've talked to people that I know who are plugged in like politically, like they pay attention, and they didn't know about these potential ICE sites. And then like our last like major focus right now is trying to find organizations that want to work with us, because we we are just a group of ragtag leftists that came together through a subreddit community and, you know, want to make a change. Like you were saying, protesting is it's not just a march, or I guess you weren't saying that, but like in my mind, protesting is not just supposed to be a march through the street every few weeks where we
You
don't...
can put words in my mouth. It's fine. It's cool. We're all friends here. Yeah.
uh, but yeah, like if we're just marching without clear direction, it's, you know, that's almost as bad as like the energy suck that the Democratic Party does to young activists, like trying to rope them into running for office and then not actually supporting their progressive ideals. We're just dumping our energy into marching through the streets, and we're not going to see change if that's as far as most people go. We have to take the fight beyond the streets. We have to take our message to Jason Crow, to Joe Neguse, to Michael Bennett, to Jared Polis. There's been a concerted effort in the last like 4 or 5 days that every time Polis posts something on his threads, because that's one of the platforms that like our like outreach or main outreach person is active on. And we've just been flooding the comment sections with, you know, like with our campaign message and with what we want, which is no concentration camps in Colorado.
Yeah. And I think I know that we have talked about doing an episode about this sometime in the future, but like Colorado's legacy with internment camps, I think there's again, somebody said history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. And I'm struck by that kind of conception here as, you know, 80 years ago, there were internment camps for Japanese Americans. And, you know, here in 2025, there are these camps either currently in operation in the case of the facility in Aurora or, you know, hoping to be built and expanded. And that's something that I think that you know, all Coloradans of good conscience and will should be like you said, I think at the top, like repulsed by. And this is a hard left turn. We didn't get a chance to talk about this. The fucking bridge, because you mentioned our boy, your boy, we all know him and we all love him, Jared fucking Polis.
We do not love Jared Polis. Ugh,
We
don't
love
put
him
words
so
in
much.
my mouth. Don't put those words in my mouth.
His last name is Polis. I mean, it's how could you not like a guy with a name so related to civic service. The fucking bridge, and because we didn't record last week, and we didn't have a chance to talk about it, but I'm sure that you saw that he opened it up to public comment or like to the public survey or whatever, and I think something like 15,000 people, I don't have it in front of me, respond to the survey. 94% were opposed to that fucking bridge. And like, I love it when people come together. And like, if you saw mock-ups of the bridge, and again, I'm sure anyone who's listening to this podcast already knows this, but like the original plan, for anyone who doesn't know, was for this is like a pedestrian walkway to go from the Capitol building. The original plan was to go to the City Center Park or Civic Center Park. Sorry, the city of Denver, which owns Civic Center Park, was like, no, we're not going to do that. That's fucking stupid. It to their credit. And then Polis was like, okay, we'll just go to Lincoln Park, which the state apparently owns, which is even stupider. Like, if you were going to build a bridge like spanning that whole complex, I think that's still fucking stupid. But to make it like it's a fucking like elevated crosswalk that he wanted to build, like, and like I made this joke already, but like it really looked like a Sim City file that you were just like fucking around with. Like it wasn't your main Sim City file. It looked so bad. It made no goddamn sense. I think the ultimate price tag between like state and private funding was going to be $30 million.
Yes.
And then after he puts out this like survey for public comment, he comes back with like, the people of Colorado have spoken, like, I will do whatever it takes to stop the bridge. And it's like, I didn't know if that was him being like self-deprecating and smarmy, which like isn't really his nature, or if he was just actually that fucking tone deaf of like, I wanted to do this nonsense public works pseudo like oxygen deprived CCC work that nobody in the state fucking wanted, and now he's being like, I'm gonna stop it, I'm gonna get in its way. And it's just like, I just have to say, I'm not often, I think there's a lot to be said about like governing by consent of like, or by public referenda. This was an example where like, thrilled to see that almost 100% of people were like, this fucking bridge sucks, don't build this stupid bridge. And it was all supposed to be for like, because next year is Colorado's 150th like anniversary as a state, and it was supposed to be for that, but really it was just like a fucking nonsense vanity project that I'm glad to see is dead. So Jared Polis, we don't like you, we don't like your stupid bridge, and we're glad it's dead.
Seriously, it was gonna be like $8 million of our fucking money, like, and they already sunk $1.5 million into the design because they went forward with that bullshit before ever thinking, hey, let's check in with the community about what they think about a pedestrian bridge in an area where we don't fucking need one.
Yeah, and it's like, anyway, like there's never been a time where I've been at the Capitol or in Lincoln Park and been like, man, if only there was a bridge here. If only there was a bridge that was like emblazoned with like Jared Polis's fucking face, that would make my life so much better. I've never thought that. I don't think anyone else except maybe Jared Polis has thought that. It was a shitty bridge. It was a stupid bridge, and we're glad that it's dead.
Yeah, my thoughts are that he wanted to just be able to do a really big project in his final year because he's a lame duck, and that was the desire. And it's like,
oh yeah,
I don't know. As a gay Jew, I've never been more disappointed in my fellow. Like, ugh.
Sure. Ugh. Well, yeah. I mean, it was clearly a vanity project, but it's like one of those things where it's like, I don't know, man. Like, make a park. Like, like you can, if you want to do a vanity project, that's fine, I guess. Like that's what people like him, by which I mean governors, do.
Shitty 100 multi-millionaire politicians.
Yeah, yeah. No, he's make no mistake about it. He's not a good. We should do a Polis episode now that we're talking about it. But
I would love that. Oh, I would love that.
yeah, that would be a good one. Um, but no, and I know that there's been some talk in the news about like the Polis administration kind of like being buddy buddy and working hand in hand with ICE and allowing them like access to like state records. This is cribbed from fucking the headlines and articles I didn't read. But I say all of that to bring us back to the ICE facilities and the campaign that we're working on to not have them in Colorado anymore. So you said that there's 5 proposed sites. Is that right? 6 proposed sites.
Which
okay.
Again is why like his focus being in this stupid bridge for so long is like, dude, you like going back to your history doesn't repeat it rhymes thing. Like as a Jew, like I see the rhyme here with these camps. Like that's one of the reasons I'm so like passionate about this project and like pushing it so hard, because like this is like obviously it's not 1-to-1 with how the show has started, but demonizing a whole group of people just for who they are and what they do to your economy, that's how it should, like that's how it started. Like I don't know, infuriates me. But yes, 6 new sites, and they are spread out. Like they are not, for the most part, they are not near population centers. They are like hours outside of Denver. And that is by design, because the harder it is for family members and for lawyers to get out to these sites to have contact, like physical contact with either their loved ones or their clients, it just makes it that much more difficult, that much more expensive. People slip through the cracks because they maybe don't have family here or they don't have community to look out for them, and then they end up deported without any representation because nobody knows they're out there.
Yeah, a lot of them. I know that I saw Walsenburg. Have you ever been to Walsenburg?
I haven't.
I fucking love Walsenburg, dude. It's like, it's this, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just like, almost like pseudo, like, it's kind of like an artsy community, like a little, like, probably 3 hours down I-25 from Denver, like if you're going like down to fucking New Mexico. And it's like you were saying, really in the middle of fucking nowhere. Like, and this is one thing that I'm always shocked as like a Colorado transplant, is just how big this fucking state is and how empty so much of it is. And like, yeah, there's a proposal for one down in Walsenburg, which again, like this very kind of like charming. Like there's train tracks running through the middle of it, and there's like those giant fucking like 60-car long trains that just like snake across southern Colorado whenever you go down there. That go through like every 5 fucking minutes. But to your point, like they're like the way the fuck out in the middle of nowhere. There's a couple like spread out in like eastern Colorado. I think there's one in Hudson, Colorado. There's one in La Junta, which is like, you know, may as well be, that's like halfway to Kansas from Pueblo. So there's like, just absolutely middle fucking
nowhere. The La
nowhere.
Junta location, that like facility is owned by the Baptiste Group, and the Baptiste Group has been forbidden from operating within the state of Tennessee because of child sexual assault that was happening within their facilities out there. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Oh shit. But yeah, no, I mean, like it's definitely, this isn't an elegant comparison, but it feels like you were saying, putting these camps where they are like out of the way, or like where people won't like bother them. I feel like that's a traditional tactic of governments that are looking to quiet restive or otherwise undesirable populations, is to find remote places and, I use this word intentionally, concentrate them there. So okay, I mean, yeah, all that is bad and they shouldn't be doing any of this. Is there anything else on this? Well, I know that this campaign was active at the what was it, the Good Trouble thing a couple weeks ago. I think there was canvassing being done on that rally. Is that right?
Yeah, we went out. We had a team of like 7 or 8 of us, which was awesome. We handed out like 500 flyers probably. We recruited some good people to the campaign that night. Got the word out because I think just getting people aware that these camps are going to be like here in our future, like realistically, it's we're climbing up Everest to try to stop this. Like this is like pushing the fucking boulder up the hill. It's going to be hard to actually stop ice expansion here. Um, but that's okay. It's about doing it. It's about raising awareness. It's about letting the people that are being held at these places know that they're not going to be disappeared without a fucking fight. Like we're not going to let them go quietly. And if we can't accomplish our first demand, we have 3 others that are also attainable. Like, I mean, these are things we can do, like getting politicians to stop accepting donations from companies like Palantir, because Palantir works hand in hand with ICE. Like, we can't forget that. It's not just about being pro Palestine, it's also about being pro, like, us here at home and not letting our people get, like, identified and disappeared without a fucking trace. Um, yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you have anything on the horizon with this campaign? Anything coming up?
I know we're gonna be canvassing um at events like within the next month. I'm not sure if we're gonna be out there for this next round on like this upcoming weekend, which we'll talk about in a bit. Um, but we are supporting there's an event happening about a month from tomorrow, on August 29th at the Capitol. It is the anniversary of the Chicano moratorium, which was a movement from the late 60s, and then with a big crescendo in 1970 on August 29th, where a protest was disrupted and escalated with police violence. And it was a very peaceful event with children singing and dancing and bands, and like it was just another example of just unnecessary police brutality.
As opposed to the necessary kind. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Well, that's it. It's all unnecessary.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll be out there supporting that.
Well, there are some people I would like to see brutalized. They're never the people that get brutalized. To be very
I can
clear.
think of a few.
But
I can think of a few I'd love to see.
Given rough rides. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, no, I think this is like I said, it's a nascent campaign. It's a campaign that's kind of being very, this term gets thrown around a lot, so much so that it's expanded beyond much functional meaning, but grassroots campaign. I think in as much as that word does have meaning, I think this word, it can be applied here. And it's cool to see. It's a campaign, I think, even more important than that, with really great and laudable goals, and something that it's an exciting thing to see get some momentum behind it. So
yeah, and we are actively recruiting. If you want to get involved, head over to the Denver protests subreddit or the threads, and we can get you plugged in and get you part of the cause. The more hands, the less work we have to do as individuals. So it's definitely going to be a community effort, and it's great to see community rising up for this.
Yes, absolutely. So on that note, do we want to move to what we have coming up this week? I know you mentioned the demonstration or the event on this Saturday. That's Saturday, right? The 2nd?
Yeah. So that'll be like the big day, because we've got our Well, actually, I actually did not check if Tesla takedowns are happening still this weekend. Because I know in the past on 50-51 days, they've tended to not do the Tesla takedowns because those people usually go to the whatever the 50-51 like tagline event is.
Right.
But yeah, so 50-51 will be doing their Rage Against the Regime um, on Saturday, and that's from I think from 12 to 4. And like concurrently with that, Rise and Represent, which is an Indigenous rights group that raises awareness for missing and murdered Indigenous women, will be hosting It's a Good Day to Disobey, which that's a fucking, I love that tagline. And that, I saw the person who organizes that said they'd be there from like noon to whenever. They might be out there all day. They're great. They're great people. um, and then at 5 p.m., there's a grassroots group of folks who will be doing another Ice Out protest. They just dropped some more flyers for that today. So I think their focus of that protest is raising awareness around ICE brutality happening here in Denver and in Colorado. And like you mentioned earlier, like Polis fucking cooperating with ICE and giving them information on our undocumented like friends. Like that's literally against the law in this state. Like literally like our like government employees are not allowed to fucking cooperate with ICE. But like whatever, Polis.
Wait, can I try to do I'm gonna do a Richard Nixon. When the governor does it, it's not illegal. How's that? Is
Actually
that
not
pretty
that
good?
bad.
Yeah,
Like
that's my
solid like
Nixon.
7 out of 10.
That's my Futurama Nixon. Um,
Oh, I was a Futurama
cool.
kid.
Oh hell yeah,
Nobody should have been a Futurama kid though. I was, but that's all right. It was a good show.
sure.
Um, so yeah, that's Saturday. I know the CD7 Watermelon Peace Vigil for Palestine happens at 11 a.m. Out at I think 5250 Wadsworth Bypass. Um, and then on August 1st, which is Friday this upcoming week, La Cultura del Mundo, which is a national organization, put out a call to action, like a nationwide call to action, um, for an event called La Marcha de la Puebla. And so General Strike US Colorado chapter is answering that call, and they're organizing a protest from at 4 p.m. outside of the Geo Detention Center in Aurora. So another opportunity to protest outside of ICE.
With Jesus.
With Jesus. Yes. And those are really like, I know like as like a podcast, like we all kind of are like the general strike idea, not coming from unions isn't the most effective potentially. Like I know we've read.
I don't know if I don't know if I think that. I know, yes, there are people
Yeah.
on this podcast who do think that.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Constant Gardner at least has done that. And I'm,
yeah,
I'm
sure.
and I tend to agree. Like I tend
No,
to agree
yeah,
that like
yeah.
we need so much more like interconnected community support if we're not going to be doing a union organized general strike.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's like I don't organize with them directly. I'm not a member of Jesus, but those people, like they're solid people. I really like the people that I've met and I've worked with from that organization.
Hell yeah.
So
Shout out Jesus.
I highly recommend if you're free on Friday night and you want to go be in community and be in solidarity with the folks being held. Like, I mean, those are fucking political prisoners in there. According to ICE's own website, 70% of the people being held in that detention center right now have never been charged with a crime and are not actively being charged with a crime. Like, they're not fucking criminals. They're just people trying to do for themselves and for their family. Like, the narratives are harmful and usually very racist, which sucks.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh,
Um.
Also on Friday, though, the Denver Communists have been running a campaign for about 2 years now against Drip Cafe, which is a coffee shop that is owned and operated by very radical extremist Christians. They used to have very homophobic shit all over their website, and then they got called out really hard by the Denver Communists and just greater community. And so they've toned down a lot of that so that they, like they can blend in a bit better. But they harbor members of the White Rose, which they have co-opted the White Rose from the original meaning, which was a very anti-fascist group, and they have turned it into an anti-abortion message. And they're just not good people. Not good people. And so Denver Communists, every first Friday at the Santa Fe Art Walk, they set up a table and they preach the good word about how much Drip Cafe fucking sucks. And
Hell
basically
yeah.
they keep them from getting business on a Friday night that would normally draw in probably lots of fucking business for them. So
Nice. Love to see that.
Yep, right. Going back to the protest efficacy, they are directly harming the economic well-being of this business.
Praxis.
Yep, it's fucking rad. So,
yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Anything else on the horizon that we wanted to shout out?
Yeah, actually, it just went out this morning, but Bizon put out another call to action for another bang the pots like we saw last week. And she did that for the 30th, for July 30th, which is this Wednesday. So if you're hearing this and it is not yet the afternoon on July 30th, there will likely be some kind of protest happening, at least in one location within the city. So keep your eyes out for that if you want to show some Palestinian solidarity, or just go out on your own balcony or on your own street and bang some pots. Go to your local park, bang some pots, bring a sign. If somebody asks you what you're doing, tell them that's what you're doing. You're answering the call. We need to stop fucking starving Gaza. We need to stop funding Israel, and we need to stop the fucking genocide. So.
And when you say Bizon Oda is a journalist.
Oh, yes. She's a Palestinian journalist who has been documenting the ongoing genocide of her people.
Yes. So yeah, definitely if you're able to attend that or any of the previously mentioned actions, please do. I know, yeah, the pot banging one last week was I thought very well attended. I thought it was a nice showing of support for that movement. So all right, I think that does it then, unless there's anything else. I just want to shout out Tom Layer, the musician, died. I think it was just 2 days ago. One of the better kind of satire musicians and a real motherfucker. He was the guy who said that satire is no longer possible after Henry Kissinger won the Nobel Peace Prize. Yeah, so
I like that.
shout out to Mr. Layer. He was a real one. Look up his music if you're feeling pretty fucking nerdy, because that's what it is.
Yep.
All right, cool, man.
If you wanna, connect with people who are as based as your friend you mentioned, come find us at Denver Protests on Reddit, on Threads, on Blue Sky, on Instagram, denverprotests.com. You can find links to all of those sites right there.
Discord.
Yeah, come join our Discord. Come hang out with us. We're pretty cool. we go to trivia. We host picnics.
Sometimes we win trivia.
Hey.
Yeah. All right. Should we call it?
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out.
Full of whiteists. All right. See you guys later.
Bye.